You know, there's some really interesting literature out there. I have on my Kindle. I just finished reading I've read it a couple times, the Tibetan Book of the Dead. It's all about what happens in the bardo, that period of time from when you die and you're reborn.
The bardo.
The bardo, it's 49 days in the bardo.
Right.
And it tells you what's going to happen.
Really?
How do they know?
Yeah, I have no idea.
But it's intriguing, and basically it says a lot about meditation. So that if you're a meditator, when you pass away, basically there's a time right when you go that you experience the light. Okay, it's bright and it's vast. It's called the Dharmakaya. It's the three bodies of the Buddha is Dharmakaya, which is the essence of emptiness. That's what it is. You experience emptiness. It's like the highest state of meditation when you meditate and everything disappears and you're left with pure awareness of being empty.
What is that like? Is that
It's not like anything,
I guess, yeah. Yeah.
but it's where things happen.
Really?
In that emptiness, things basically it's emptiness. That's the essence, and then out of that comes clarity. It's sort of like thought. Thought is optimum when you basically have an open mind, an empty mind, because then you create room for ideas. So the idea is the second. It's called. I forget the name of it. Dharmakaya, Dhammakaya. There's another one. It's called. It's basically it indicates clarity. It's I like ideas coming clearer and clearer and clearer. And then the final thing is Nirmanakaya. It means the manifestation. It actually happens.
Right.
So that's how things come into being. Is emptiness. Things arise out of emptiness. They become clearer and clearer and clearer. And with enough energy, they manifest.
Really?
And that's how everything happens. And I notice that's in my life is basically I think about things. They come out of being empty, all the great ideas. And then basically I modify, I build on them, and they turn into something, a project, something that's real, so solid.
Do you think that's an important thing to be able to do? Because I guess a lot of, certainly me and a lot of people I talk to, your mind gets cluttered. It's like thinking about what I'm going to do tomorrow, worrying about what happened yesterday, or worrying about what's not happened. And totally the opposite of a clear mind. Mm-hmm. In your experience, your age, is that, is that something to work on, like clear all that crap out of
Yes,
you?
that's what I do.
Really?
And during the day, I say my mantra too. I have a sort of like I call it my default mantra. Is if there's something going on that I don't want to be with, I'll start my mantra up.
And that's a secret mantra you've never shared before.
It's not secret. I actually have about 8 of them that I use at different levels.
What sort of things do you sort of, what's an example of a mantra?
Well, there's one that if you want to go beyond something, if you want to get past something, go beyond.
Yeah.
It goes there. This one's in Sanskrit. Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhi swaha. It means gone. Gate means gone. It means gone, completely gone, gone without a trace. Hooray! That's how you might translate that.
Where did you get that from? Is that
it's a Buddhist mantra?
It's a Buddhist mantra, right?
It's from the Diamond Sutra. The sutras are like sayings and meetings. They used to have all these meetings, like big assemblies of Buddha and Bodhisattvas and all that. And he would teach, basically, and basically they would come up with mantras. Basically, there's certain mantras, like for example, there's one called well, it's for basically there's something they call the tutelary deity that you build while you're alive through visualizing, and it's your deity that you have mentally created that protects you. And there's a mantra for that, and I think the mantra is Om Vajrapani Haragriva Garuda Hum Fat. And that wards off evil spirits.
Really?
Yeah, because they're basically characters in Buddhist mythology that basically would protect you against obstacles if you called on them. That's the belief. And see, these mantras are basically formulas for higher awareness to crowd out negative thinking. That's the whole point. And I say Mayan. Mayan is basically, I take refuge in the Buddha of infinite light and boundless life. Translated, it means that. But basically, you know, I've studied all forms of spirituality and religion just about. It's just a lot of different vocabulary words. It's a lot of different labels that are essentially saying the same thing.
And how many times do you repeat those, or for how long?
Oh, sometimes for an hour, sometimes
Really?
for 20 minutes. But I make it a point to say it a lot. That was my thing when I was competing. I made a vow to say it 1,000,000 times a year, the mantra, and that's 3,000 times a day. And when you're saying it that, you know what happens? Actually, it happened to me. The biggest effect it had on me was in '79 when I took the last month. I stayed in Palm Springs on this house we had there. That I just had all equipment in it, and I trained, and I just lived that all the time. And I said my mantra continuously. And after doing that for about 2.5 weeks, I was just so blissed out. Nothing could bring me. I mean, I was just blissful and joyous, and no concerns at all about anything. I was just totally the winner, and just everything fell in place too. And I had that attitude going back there that I'm there. Here I am. I'm there to get my 3rd title, you know, and that's the way it happened.
And whatever happened, I guess, wouldn't have mattered, I suppose. Were you attached to whatever happened? Were you, I guess...
I was what was happening.
Right.
I mean, I was so sure of it.
Yeah.
I just made sure that I was sure of everything because I had feedback on it.
Right.
You know, that's the whole thing. You got to get feedback to make these things work.
Really?
It's not about just being not legitimate or faking it. I could never do that. I could never get on stage and act like the winner if I didn't know that I really was or deserved it.
Yeah.
Couldn't. Still can't.
No.
You know, I can talk like we are now. I can talk for a while about stuff that I have experience with and know about, but ask me to talk about something else, like, you know, politics, although I delve in that, maybe I shouldn't now. But, you know, I'm not comfortable with it.
No.
So I usually don't say much.
Is it difficult? It sounds like I've tried similar things, and it's quite difficult to, you know, it's almost like a workout in your mind. Have you found it's fairly difficult to be able to do that on a regular basis? And what are some of the things that you could share to be able to be successful at doing those mantras? Because it's quite difficult, isn't it? I guess. Somewhere thinking.
You know, most of the thinking is what you might call discrimination. It's putting things in categories, or it's getting into polarities, like, dislike, yes, no, hot, cold, or the way I work on feeling about things is it's all one thing. It's not two things. It's not opposites. Those are just opposite ends of the same thing. You know, it's all about the thing itself, which is not. It's one. So everything for me is one. Now you can say, oh, look at that, or look at that. You know, they're opposite aspects of it. And that's what the yin-yang is about. It's one turns into the other. They have, if you look at the symbol,
right,
there's a dot of that one and this one. They eventually become the other. And that's where everything is. Every solution to problems eventually turn into a problem itself.
Every solution to a problem.
It's going to become a problem down the line.
Which becomes a solution, I suppose.
Then you have to come up with another solution.
Right.
Just like, what? All the waste products with plastic being dumped in the oceans and all that. I mean, their solution to that, for one thing, I saw this on TV. There's these people that take all those bottles, those plastic bottles, and make islands out of them. They get like 100,000 of them and just glue them all together, and they make an island. And there are islands out there. And the other, if you could, by fusion, if you could get the energy involved in fusion, they would solve all the energy problems forever in the world. There's so much energy, atomic energy in matter. Like E = mc squared. The energy in something is equal to the mass of it times the speed of light squared. 186,000 miles per second squared. I mean, that is, in my fingernail, there's enough energy to light, you know, La Mesa for a year. So, and that's in our future somewhere. I mean, I don't know if we're going to be around for that, but things are happening pretty fast.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah. So coming back to that thinking, which you've obviously it's been quite important for your life. Then, if there was something that you could teach us how to, and I know it's a lot in a lot of your books as well. What advice would you give to me to be able to, where should I start, and how should I go about it, to be able to sort of get to where you've been with your mantras and blocking out things that you don't want to fill in your mind. What would be some of the sort of steps I could take?
Well, don't go along with negativity. One of the things I think is clean up your speech. Talk the right way. In other words, I made it a point, for example, not to use powerless speech. And for example, I don't say things like, that makes me. Like, that makes me angry. That's an admission that there's something that has control over you. That's not you. Don't say it. I don't mean it. The other thing is don't use negative body metaphors, expressions that put negative energy on your body. Or chores to build a body, not to make it harder. So don't say things like, that makes me sick, or I can't stand that, or I can't handle that, or that's a pain in the neck, or get off my back. All those things label energy in your body and tends to stick it there. Now, that's not my idea. I mean, there's bioenergetics, the whole thing, that's the concept they operate on, is basically we store trauma in our joints and our muscles. And that's where we have problems. Now, whether it's related to exactly what we're saying, like if you're saying pain in the neck and you have a pain, I found out what happens with that is if you constantly use expressions like that and you think that way, you'll find ways to create a literal pain in the neck for yourself. Unconsciously, you'll just do it to yourself, because it's below the level of awareness that you have. And so I have a level of awareness about that. And basically, I don't use those expressions. And if somebody else uses them, I tend to correct them.
Right. So the language is important.
Yeah, language is important. Right speech. And then I try not to be negative. I am sometimes. Like, I try not to gossip or say things about people. Sometimes it's just hard to resist. They're too funny.
Yeah, like Trump.
No.
But,
I mean, the way this guy has been valuable for me, because I learned how I don't want to be. Because I can see parts of I can see this narcissism in myself too, that he exhibits in a most profound, over-the-top way. But I can see these inklings there that could, it could be a seed that grows into a weed.
Seed that grows into a weed.
Yeah. So, you gotta keep the weeds at bay. And you can't use Roundup either.
And in terms of a ritual, like is there a time, like is there something in the day where it's like, okay, find 20 minutes and
yeah, that's a good thing. During the day, that's why I think the Islamic thing of praying 5 times a day, I think that's a great idea. I think people should do stuff like that. I mean, you don't have to pray with the rug and all that stuff, but you can meditate. You can do that anywhere. You don't need anything to do that. You could just be sitting. I'm meditating right now. I say that to some people, but it's true. The thing about I like too is there's all kind of little devices that different companies come out with. Like there's one, I didn't bring it down here with me. I think it's called the EM Squared. It's put out by the Institute of Heart Math. It's basically like a biofeedback meditation machine. You clip it to your ear and it reads out your pulse. And then basically it starts a light going up and down, and you breathe with it. And it'll take you to, if it comes on as red, it means you're sort of scrambled, you're not coherent. Right. And then it'll come on as blue, it means you're getting focused and more relaxed. And then it'll come on as green, it means you're there.
Wow.
And so I do that usually a lot in the mornings.
How long do you do that for?
Not long. I just want to get there.
Okay.
It's like me shooting archery. If I get the bullseye, I quit sometimes.
Where do you get those machines?
You can't get any better.
No.
Just go to heartmath.com.
HeartMath.
HeartMath. It's called They have different ones. They have ones for your cell phone you could use, but I've had this one for a while.
And it helps you get into that right mental state.
It's about, the thing is about keeping your focus. That's really what it's all about, is maintaining your focus. And that's what everything depends on, is not being dispersed and being scattered all the time, You never get anywhere that way. You got to be focused so you could be on the path and going in the right direction.
Yeah.
And then there's a saying, the path is the goal.
The path is the goal.
There's no final goal.
No.
I mean, where is it? How would you know you reached it? You never know.
So did you realize when you was at one point in your life, was Mr Olympia your final goal, your final destination? Because
not one time.
Not one time.
I want to go 2 times at least. And then.
So did you change that from it being?
Yeah. I started hanging out with powerlifters, and they sort of encouraged me to maybe grow a little bit more muscle, and I did. And I came back in '79. I was bigger than I was before, and actually in better shape, because I trained harder, and I did slow negatives. And so my goal was at the point to win it 3 times, and then when I did, I wanted to win it 4. Now, it seems that 3 is a great number for me. It seems to be one of my lucky numbers. I mean, when you think about it, there's a whole branch of mathematics devoted to 3. It's called trigonometry. It's the science of triangles. I taught that. I taught trigonometry. So 3 is a big number for me, and I mean.
How does that relate to you saying though it's the path, because you just sort of said then there is no end place, but yet when you was doing the Olympia, you was striving for that end place.
Well, the end place is a short-term goal.
Okay.
The long-term goal is your whole life.
Okay.
And see, you really don't know what's next. And so you could say, well, I've reached my goal, it's all over, I can just relax. No, it's never like that. It's always in motion.
Did you know that at the time that was just a stepping stone? You didn't. When did you get that wisdom?
Now. A minute ago. No, I've sort of come to realize that all along. There's no final state. I mean, if there were, how would you know what you're at? I mean, maybe I should have stopped Olympia after knowing now that this is all what happened. It might have been the best thing to do. But then I was thinking, well, what am I going to do now?
Right.
I wanted that goal. I wanted that path. I wanted the path to keep going. And I did keep going, but basically what stopped me was injury. Could have kept going, but I just got too injured.
But you went on a different path anyway, I guess, didn't you?
Well, yeah. I mean, I realized that I had a torn rotator cuff when I stopped already. I know I had to take care of that. And I knew that I had things in place to start teaching it more so than competing anymore. I didn't want to be one of those guys that keep going in contests and it just gets further and further and further. I've seen it happen. And then I realized that really what's the status of body awareness with people? It's absent. Body awareness is absent in people. I've never been anybody that knows what they look like. Not exactly. There's people that think they look better, most men, and people that think they look worse than they really do, most women.
Yeah.
But the fact is, if you're relying on what you look like in the mirror, you'll never really know. That's why you need to take photos of yourself so you can see yourself the way other people do. That's very important. And take all kind of photos. Take bad photos, because that's where people see you sometimes. There's a real interesting spiritual movement called the Gurdjieff-Ouspensky School. And basically, there's something, it's sort of like ongoing meditation called self-remembering. And the best analogy I could find on that is basically, it's like an internal and external visualization. It's you seeing yourself, you observing yourself as you are now from in here, and you observing yourself as you are from out there, as if you're taking photos of yourself.
Wow.
You're taking photo after photo. And see, so this had really deep meaning for me, this taking photos. I was learning to see myself the way other people do. Isn't that what it's all about? People go through life thinking they know it. They don't. Most of the time, they look like fools to other people. Like I see bodybuilders say, everybody's looking at me for the wrong reasons. They think you're a freak. They're not saying, look how splendid he looks. No, they're not thinking that at all. They think you look abnormal. But they get off on that because they're that's one of the 3 poisons. You know what the 3 poisons are?
No.
Anger, greed, and stupidity. That's what holds us back. Anger and greediness, lust, greed, same thing. Avarice, same thing. Anger and stupidity is just foolishness. Thinking we know stuff we don't.
And when you say you're looking at, I guess, do you mean it deeper than just physically looking at your physical body? Are you also meaning that to be like, who you are, as part of that body. So, looking at yourself, what your actions and your,
Yeah, if you want to take behavior into, if you want to extend it to that, sure. But I mean, this is a limited application. I'm just taking
yeah,
pictures of myself, which, this is all an illusion because there's no such thing as a still photo.
no,
No, I mean, not in reality. Everything's moving all the time. We're freezing you for a minute, for a second,
right,
and we're getting that as, those are not real. They are flashes. What's real is the flow,
yeah.
and it just keeps going on, and it doesn't stop. And we keep going on too. I think that we've been around for a long time. I think I have been.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, I believe in evolution. I think that I have all that awareness in me of all those lower life forms below me. And as a matter of fact, we go through those stages when in our from the time of conception up till the time of maturity. We're going through the same evolutionary stages, that life that has come on before us. And we have that awareness. It's manifested in our early development.
Do you think sometimes we forget that then, or have you got
I
to
don't think we
retry?
forget it. I don't think we believe it at
You don't
all.
believe it, right?
We think that, God created us in his image. I don't believe that.
No.
I think my parents created me and I created God.
That's interesting.
I think God exists because I think he exists. And I think that God really does exist. The Christian God really exists, is very powerful. These people are mocking it up all the time, feeding it. That's how reality comes to play. I do not believe that. I just don't think it happened that way. I don't think that God made everything.
So you believe you were here before?
Yes.
You're right.
I think I've always been here.
Really? In what way? In a kind of
In
an
some
energy,
form.
or you?
Jivantiya.
What does that mean?
It means sort of like soul.
Right.
But it's basically that part of me that has always existed and that continues to exist life after life.
Right.
And so I can come back if I want to, if I desire to come back as a body. But basically, it's not what you would call emancipation, being free from the cycle of birth and death and all that. I mean, I have no idea what any of that is like today, but I just feel, I read this stuff and I think, whoa, this is so cool. This feels like lofty inspiration from it. The thing about it is this, is if there is no objective reality, which is what I believe, I don't think there's I don't think that's fixed out there. I think we're projecting our perceptual template onto it and making it real for us so we can understand what it is.
Yeah.
And that's a product of our education and our training. And so if that's the way it is, why can't it be any way I want it to be? Why not? And so that's what I'm about. I want to make things the way I want them to be. And somebody tells me, that's the way it is for you, okay? It's not necessarily for me. I mean, it could be any way I want it to be. And so it's
You're
all
a creator, I guess, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. We're all creators. We're creating all this stuff, and we create everything for ourselves. And why not? What a great thing to believe. Either believe that or believe that you're doomed and you're going to hell. And, why?
Yeah. When I look around now and like your music, your body, and now your mind, you're constantly creating.
Well, it's like the path is the goal. I'm getting better at it.
The path is the goal.
Yeah, you see, I'm not perfect. I mean, I keep practicing. I keep practicing. And with the practice, I get a little bit better each time I do it. And so that's really what it's all about,
And as a teacher, is that, if there was, giving some of your life lessons, if you had to sort of try and wrap that up, as what would your sort of lesson be that you would like to leave? If it was you're teaching that class again, what would be the title of your lesson? Or the subject of your lesson?
The British have a good saying, keep calm and carry on. That pretty well says it.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Don't be upset. Don't be nervous. Call it excitement. Keep calm. Calm excitement and do the job at hand, do the task at hand. So, when it comes, there's two things for me. One is doing the task at hand, and then I'm focused on the task at hand. And when I'm not doing anything, I'm operating with a clear mind.
Right.
Saying my mantra, whatever, to clear my mind out. Do you ever notice? I mean, as you get older, it seems like, I don't know if the memory's getting worse or if I don't remember things because it's better that I forget. But I was trying to think of who this guy, the names just escape me sometimes. We're out for a walk, our morning constitutional. I was thinking, what's that guy's name that plays Trump on Saturday Night Live? And for the whole time I was thinking, I just couldn't think of his name. And finally got home and I was just not doing anything and a flash of mind, Alec Baldwin. And I realized I didn't know that name because I hadn't made an association with it. And so right at that moment I made an association, and I will never forget this again, that it's Alec Baldwin that played him, because I think of Trump as being bald with that flat top hair. That just, he's bald guy, so it's Baldwin. That so now I got it. And so I didn't have it before because I didn't have an association for it. I didn't have a hook for it. And that's what memory is. It's actually a bunch of hooks that you've already planted there from similarity, and you put things on those. You know. So I mean, I'm learning.
Still.
Yeah, I'm still learning. And getting slightly better at stuff. But I just would like to be, I'd like to last as long as I can on this earth.
Yeah.
So I want to get all the stuff done that I can. And I don't know how long that's going to be. I'm just going to, stay healthy and do the best job I can.
I guess it comes to everyone. It's one thing.
Well,
that's
you don't
guaranteed.
think about that stuff when you're younger, but when the older you get, the more I think about it. Actually, I was thinking about it when I was younger too.
Really?
Yeah, when my father died, I was thinking about it a lot. That was when I was like, 1969.
Did it scare you?
It does to some extent. In a way it does, but in a way it doesn't. Because I realize that everything I'm experiencing in that state or up to that state, it's all in my mind. And that everything is in my mind. The world, it's my world, it's in my mind. My world is that. And so if I'm scared, then it's my mind doing it. And so why do that? Yeah, but see, that logic is not always there in place like that. And so I want to have it so that it's there more. And that's where the mantras come in. The mantras sort of usher in that statement with it, that feeling with it.
Do you think over, as you've got older, because I guess you're at a different stage of me and I'm still working things out. Do you see as you get older, 60s, 70s, and you're coming on 77 shortly, that you get better at those things, or you just still got to work as hard as you did when you was 40s and 50s?
I don't know if I'm getting better, but I think I'm getting more motivated to stay in that frame of thought, of thinking that way and getting better at doing it. I've thought that, I want it to be glorious when I pass away, that there's something in Buddhism called the rainbow body, where people who see things as they really are in their life, basically, when they die, basically their body shrinks down. And, this is something that happens as you get older anyway. You shrink.
Really?
I'm smaller than I used to be. I'm shorter and I weigh a lot less. And so I think it keeps going because your body sort of, to conserve what's still left, it goes in on itself. And basically, you shrink down, and eventually what happens is your body turns into what it really has been all along, is light. We're light, basically. We're lumens. If you magnify something as much as you can, you get pixelation. It's basically, it's about light. And so that's the thing is, I want to. And the thing is, you never really guaranteed any of this stuff to be true. I mean, it's a lot of faith. I think that the thing about faith is, believing in things that are uplifting, that help you and can help other people because you're helping yourself.
Right.
And I think that's the main thing, is help yourself first. Because if you don't, you're not going to be able to help anybody else. If you're a pendejo, as they say in Spanish, you're never going to be able to help anybody. You know that word? Pendejo?
I don't know.
It means fool.
Full.
Full.
Full. Full.
Full, F-O-O-L,
Oh, full, yeah.
or asshole.
Well, I guess that's right. If you like, it is faith, and you don't know. Nobody's going to know. So if you got to choose a faith, then probably choose one that's going to serve you instead of
Yeah.
one that doesn't.
And there's no arguing with somebody else's faith either, because that's what's real for them.
Yeah,
Why should I want to destroy that for them? I mean, that's cruel.
yeah,
You know, if somebody's peaceful and fine in there and it's not what I think, why would you? That's them. It's not me.
no.
And if fine, it's working for you. Yeah, go ahead.
If it serves you, and it is, I guess it's like bodybuilding. There's no real. It's subjective, and so find something that serves you as opposed to something that doesn't, because
Yeah.
you're never going to know.
You know what gets me is people in the world who are so insecure that they can't have somebody near them that believes differently than them. They're the people that want to convert you to their way of thinking and their religion. And I get that. Every now
Why?
and then people think I'm some kind of atheist. I'm not. I really have a profound system of belief,
Yeah.
but it's not theirs.
No.
And see, since it's not, and since I'm not accepting Jesus Christ as my personal Savior all the time and talking everybody into that, it's not good enough for them.
Yeah.
So they want to convert me. They don't realize that I've already been there and done that. I
Yeah.
grew up all through that. So I know what all that's like. And you know, I mean, fine. I mean, it's been very helpful. But I don't try to impose that to other people. I mean,
No.
not my way. I don't really go out and, you know, try to convince people what I'm saying is right. I mean, I'd like that, but you know, it's nice to have people in your Venn diagram with you.
Yeah. But I guess you've got a philosophy that you could fit a belief into it. But there's a framework, I guess, that you follow, which seems to kind of help you, you know, navigate a good life. And I guess a lot of people are still struggling with those things. You know, they're filling their minds with stuff that they shouldn't do and blah, blah, blah. And I suppose you've got a philosophy. What you put into it, what you believe, is up to everybody. I kind of get that. It makes sense now. But choose something that's going to make your life nice as opposed to not.
Well, you know, I mean, the proof of all of this is how you are in your life and how you come off to other people. And if you're at peace, which I think is the goal of all of it, be at peace, you know, at one means that. And people pick up on that. You don't have to say anything. The vibe comes out. And, you know, I think that's our natural state, but it's covered over with a lot of
Yeah.
crap and stuff that we don't want. So I'm just doing my best to get to move on, to keep moving onward.
So what is sort of what unfinished business have you got? Yeah, I know you've got your books, and I know Judy said we need to talk about this, and I've kept you for a while. But tell me about some of the things you're working on and that you've got, that are coming out.
Well, we got the Zane Defined movie coming out next year, and we're shooting, bits and pieces here and there.
And what's that?
It's going to be more about personal growth than bodybuilding, and it's going to be very artistically rendered, because the people that are shooting it are very good in that respect. You know, they look at the shot for symmetry and balance and everything. It's going to be very visual,
right?
As well as some meaning. But I really don't know everything about it because I'm not writing. The script is my book Symmetry. It's basically my life story. But I don't know how much of that it's going to be directly in the movie.
Right.
It's not going to be your typical bodybuilding movie, like Generation Iron or any of those. It's going to be more about something for everybody in personal growth and, my story, what it's been like for me. But, I don't know. I try to think of my goal was to make it to 77, and now
That's not very far away.
I'm about to achieve that. I guess my next stop is maybe 81.
Because 77 was a special year for you, wasn't it?
It was the year of Zane.
Yeah.
And actually, all these years, 77, 78, they all got better. And so I sort of look at that. I mean, it's just a little game I play with myself, I think about my age in terms of the year that I lived and what it was like then. So 77, I advertised in a magazine. First year I won the Olympia, I advertised 77, the year of Zane. I started putting that out there. And so now I'm living the year of Zane now again.
Fantastic.
In 78, I was even better than I was in 77 and won it again. In 79, I was the best as I got. So I think 79 will be a good year too. I'll make it that way,
Yeah.
you know. And then 81 will be great because that's a year that I think that I could have won Olympia if I would have competed that year. But who knows? I mean, you know what gets me is I'm not really that afraid or fear passing away. I just don't like thinking about the gap I'll leave.
Yeah.
Like with my wife and, you know, leaving her and all this behind.
Mm.
I mean, I know there's something else, but the fact that you have to leave and that everybody has to leave, nobody gets out of here alive. But we have an exit vehicle. That's the thing, is I want to make sure that my exit vehicle is as good as it could be.
Yeah.
And I want to take the rest of my life to build it into that. And so the meditation, that all helps. It all helps. All these things I'm doing mentally, it really helps.
Yeah.
You know, and expressing myself and writing and teaching, and you know, I mean, there's a great feeling I get from teaching, and I realized this when I was teaching school, that I would have a great lesson, about every 2 weeks. So I figured, I think I could still do that, and I tend to do it here, and so I generally each one is usually like that.
Yeah.
Usually it is. Very seldom I get somebody that doesn't agree with me and stuff. They're always, you know, I guess it's a sort of deference to me in a way, a lot of it, but I think they come here to get the experience of what it's like to do this stuff and what my experience of it's been and how it can translate into theirs too.
Yeah. So you got your movie, you've got a podcast which you're starting shortly as well.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's coming out soon.
Yeah, we want to have one, talk to Samir Banu and Danny Hester. Was the first Mr. Olympia, we call classic physique. It's more of the under 200-pound guys that used to be in the 70s. They've recreated that.
Right.
And so he's really good. And that's the thing. These guys are really good, but they're just not 300 pounds, you know. And so that just to make it more popular and to basically to educate people as to the power of building the body. We don't like even calling it bodybuilding because it's got sort of a negative rap. I like calling it building the body because, you know, basically it's a tremendously powerful thing. We have the ability to change what we look like. Who else can say that? You can't, there's nothing else like that. There's nothing else, yoga, I mean, yeah, it's good. Flexibility, stretching, all that, but I mean, why do these people don't look that good? Running, yeah, you get in shape aerobically, but I never saw runners that look that good. Now, not that bodybuilding can't do some yoga and running too, they can, but just integrate all this so you have a tremendous thing. And we have all this apparatus we use, like machines and free weights and all this stuff, and you know, mind muscle machines, like here's that mind muscle machine, that's the newest one.
This is one of your machines, yeah?
Well, this isn't even available yet. I'm just testing it out. It's pretty neat. This white cord is for sound. This gives a beeping sound. You might hear just one of them in your ear.
Yeah.
And then you put these glasses on.
Wow. And what is it?
This one is called Quick Energy.
Right.
Now it's counting down.
Okay.
Now I'll be able to, it'll come on very dim. It'll probably come on with blue lights.
And what is it sort of meant to do to me?
Well, it'll give you some quick energy.
Oh, okay.
It'll start pumping up pretty soon. Let me know if you hear any sound. I'm going to pump up the sound. Hear any sound? It'll be like
I can see the lights.
Okay. That can make them brighter.
Oh, yeah.
They're blue.
Yeah, yeah. That's cool.
All right, I can change that color. Green.
Yeah.
All right. See, green is nice. That's very relaxing.
Yeah.
So basically, this is a meditation.
Oh, so this is one of your...
Yeah, it's meditation on light and sound.
Well, I'm going to have to get one of these. I need to, I've been talking about it since we last met a year ago, and I need to...
Contact me in about a month. We'll have more info. They don't even have any, they just send them to me. I got to tell them how I like, if I like it or not. But I like this a lot.
Yeah.
There's another one they have too. This one I think is going to retail for $250.
Yeah.
And they have another one that's like $350. This is called the Lumina, or the Limina, Limina, the Limina, and the other one is called the Casina.
Right.
That's a more deluxe one. The Casina, basically, that's a meditation. I used to do those. I used to make color casinas, which were big circles that were colored, and I would stare at them like this right in front of me. So you'd have a field, a Gantt-filled field.
I can feel it now. It's sort of a soothing.
Well, see, you do this before you go to bed. It'll help you fall asleep.
Yeah, I need one of them.
Yeah, I do this I have one of these that I use for that every night.
I bet it's
Not
good
this
also
one.
if you're on the plane, if you're flying
Oh,
somewhere.
it's great. You should always take one on the plane.
Yeah.
You're traveling, yeah. That's a great way to pass the time.
And people can get on your website, can they?
Yeah.
They will be able to.
They have the Casina for sale right now, but this Lumina is going to be a while before we get the data on it.
Right.
But I like this one a lot.
Well, look, Frank, I've kept you for a long time. I'm sure there'll be a part 3. Maybe when you're
Just let me know when you're ready.
Yeah. There's a lot to digest there. I think there's
Yeah, we could just keep going.
Yeah. There's quite a few volumes of stuff, but Frank, I really appreciate your time. It's been fantastic, and I'm looking forward to the 1981. Fantastic. Thank you, Frank. That's wonderful.
Okay, my pleasure.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you did, then please go over to iTunes and subscribe to the Escape Your Limits podcast. Leave a review, leave a comment. It really would help us a lot to continue to keep these going.